My name is Elias Adams, distant cousin to John Adams. I have been a journalist during the Revolutionary War, and here are some of my notes I wrote on my journey. The Revolutionary War is a war that was between the American colonies and the British. The war lasted from April 19, 1775 to September 3, 1783. The war was taking place from Britain needing money because they were in debt from the previous wars, so they taxed the colonists. This didn't make the Americans happy, so it finally made them want their independence from Britain once and for all. Then a little while later, America and Britain exchanged gunfire at Lexington and Concord, April 1775. But these weren't the only battles. There were about 10 major battles. Bunker Hill, June 1775. Quebec, December 1775, Charleston, June 1776, Trenton, December 1776, Saratoga, October 1777, Rhode Island, August 1778, Kings Mountain, October 1780, Cowpens, January 1781, and Yorktown, October 1781. There were two different American people during the war, the Tories and the Revolutionaries. The Tories were for the British king and the Revolutionaries were for independence. There was about 231,000 men that served for the American colonies and only about 50,000 for the British. A fun fact, there was actually a little over 2 million British colonists living in the American colonies during the war. Another fun fact is that there was a woman that fought in the Revolutionary War, which was something not allowed. Her name was Deborah Sampson, and she disguised herself as a man to serve in the Continental Army from May 1782 through October 1783. Okay, back to the subject. During the war, there was a secret plan to kill George Washington. Now imagine if that wasn't successful. There wouldn't be a Washington on the $1 bill you can look at. Speaking of death, more troops died from infections and diseases than the actual battles. On July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was signed. If you don't know what that is, it is essentially a document that officially recorded the proclamation that the United States became an independent country, away from the British. Also, there were about 200 original copies of the Declaration of Independence. Speaking of writing, there was invisible ink that the British and American colonies used to write top-secret messages. Now let's move on to the government and the community. During the war, the American colonies didn't have a government, but had a Continental Congress and an American colonial government. The Continental Congress acted as their government, and the American colonial government coordinated the resistance to the British rule during the first 2 years of the Revolutionary War. One thing that the war did help is it inspired more participation and governance. The British government had a lot of downfall after the war, such as Britain losing a lot of money battling with America, sending the national debt soaring, and creating a yearly interest of nearly £10 million. However, even though Britain may have lost 13 colonies in America, they retained Canada and land in the Caribbean, Africa, and India. Also, on August 23, 1775, the British government issued the Proclamation of Rebellion, which declared the American colonies were in an open and avowed rebellion, and ordered officials of the British Empire to use their utmost endeavors to withstand and suppress such rebellion. In conclusion, the Revolutionary War helped America earn its freedom from the British and also many other helpful things, such as opening new markets and new trade relationships.